coding problem Palindrome. This is a pretty common problem that pretty much anybody who is learning to code will be solving, especially when you're learning looping. So the problem is that you have to detect a palindrome. So in this particular problem, you have to write a function named isPalindrome, which takes in as input a string parameter, and then it will return true if the string is a palindrome or return false if the string is not a palindrome. So first of all, what is a palindrome? A palindrome is a string which when viewed, which has a symmetry of the characters from front and back. So for example, kayak is a palindrome because the ordering from the front and back of the characters is same. So if the string is odd length, then the center character can be anything. If the string is even length, let's just say some random string, then the characters from the front and back would be same. So the first character from front and back would be same. Second character from the front and back would be same. So that's a palindrome. So we have to write a function that returns true if the given string is a palindrome. All right, let's just get rid of this. Let's take this string. If you want to find this problem, it's on my GitHub page and the link is in the description. And if you want to solve this problem, now you can pause the video. All right, so let's look at the solution for this problem. So how can we check whether a given string is a palindrome or not? The solution is actually pretty common for such problems. Let me write this again. Suppose this is our input string. Usually whenever we are solving a problem in which we want to go from the front and go from the back at the same time, the while loop is a very good alternative. The approach is usually called two-pointer approach. So what we do is we put one pointer here and one pointer here. Let's just call this, let's say I. Let's just call this J. So we begin with I at the front of the string and J at the back of the string, and then we check the characters present. If the characters are same, then we are good. If they are not same, then we return false immediately. If they are same, then in the next iteration, what we'll do is we will move I to the next character and J to the next character from the reverse order. If the characters are same, then if the characters are not same, then we fail right away. If they are same, then we repeat the procedure. And till what point do we repeat this procedure? We will repeat the procedure when I has crossed J, when the I reaches a point when it has already crossed J. At that point, we will have to stop it because that means that we've already checked everything, right? To the middle of the string. In the third iteration, for example, is the color, J would go here, I would go here. And after that, I would have crossed, I will come here and J will come here. And at that point, we have pretty much checked everything. So let's write code for this. We've already provided some boilerplate syntax in which we have a test case. Test cases have basically some test cases, kayak 12321, which is a string, ABCD, this is not a palindrome, and this is a big palindrome string. This is a language, like an Indian language. So basically for T in test case, that is for each test case, print the test case and check whether it's a palindrome or not. This will return true or false. So we need to define a function with this name isPalindrome. So let's carry on with that. So I'm going to say def, I'm going to create a function, def palindrome, and the takes in the input as string. Now I don't know, we've not talked about whether the string is none or empty, then if there is a problem. So let's just add it, okay? If not as, that is, if the string is either none or empty, then we can handle the situation in some other way. We say that it's a, let's just return a true. Okay, you can return a false, whatever you want. This condition, if not as, will evaluate to true if the string is either none or it's empty. All right. For all the other cases, what we can do is we can first initialize I to the first index and j to the last index. So I'm going to do that. I equals to 0 and j equals to the last index. How do I get to the last index? I do the len of s, which is going to be 5. And then from that, I'm going to subtract 1 to get to the last index. So let's just write the indexes. The indexes in this case would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are the indexes in this case. So last index would be len of s minus 1. Now I'm going to write a for loop. Sorry, I'm going to write a while loop. In this while loop, the condition would be while I is smaller than j. All right. As soon as I becomes equals to j, I don't need to do anything. As soon as I becomes equals to j or is greater than j, then I don't need to check it anymore, right? If the string is odd, then I will be equal to j at some point of time. For example, in this case, I and j will become 2 at some point of time. However, if the string is even, then for example, in the case of ABBA, the I will be here, j will be here, then I will be here, j will be here, and then the next iteration, I will be here, j will be here. So they will never be equal, but I will cross j. So that will be the terminating condition. So let's just print I comma j. Right? Let's just print I comma j for now, and let's see how this works out. So we run code and we get into a problem. What is this problem? That our loop is never ending. This is a usual problem with a while loop. So what we do is, let me stop this. And always make sure in while loop, you will have to manually create the condition where while loop can terminate. Otherwise, the while loop will not terminate and you will be in problem, right? It's unlike for loop, which iterates over a container, and at some point of time, the container is going to run out and it will automatically terminate. So let's just say after we are done doing whatever we want to do this business here, we're going to say in the end, I plus equals 1, that is increment I by 1, and j minus equals 1. That decrement j by 1. So this will ensure that I is moving leftwards. Sorry, I is moving rightwards and j is moving leftwards, and they will cross. All right. So if you run code now, you will see that this is how the output is. We are not printing true or false, but we are printing the indexes. So 0, 4, then 1, 3, and then it will stop. Why? Because it will become 2, 2 after that. So let's go here. Oops. Close the wrong window. Let me open it. All right. So now what we want to do is, in this while loop, what will happen is we are going to check the character present at the index I and index s of j. All right. So if this character is not equal, okay, if this character is not equals to this character, that is the character present at I is not equals to character present at j, then return false right away. Right, that this will return from the function at this particular point, this very point, wherever this condition is not true, which is correct, which is what we want to do. However, if they are equal, then we don't need to do anything. So I'm not going to write anything. All I need to do is iterate till I is less than j and check at each point if this condition is true. If this ever becomes true, then we just return false. And otherwise, if it's not true, then just increment the I by 1 and decrement j by 1. And if you run the entire while loop and you have not encountered this condition, that means your string is a palindrome. So I'm going to come out of the while loop. If I have successfully executed this while loop without returning, that means my string is a palindrome now. So I'm going to just say return true. That's outside the while loop. So let's run this code now. And you will notice that we have kayak is true, 1, 2, 3, 1 is true, ABCD is false, and then finally this string is false. Why is this false? Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's a trick test case that I put in there. So this Malayalam here is a false, and can you think of why this is false? I will tell you the reason. The reason is that the string comparison, when you do the literal string comparison in programming language, the capital M is different from small m, which is the problem. So unlike, for example, in this case, I kept both the k's as a lowercase, I will have to move this m to a smaller case. Let's run this, and you will get true. So just keep that in mind when you're doing string comparison or character comparison. These things are case sensitive in Python. So it's a pretty simple code. You can solve this, and you can find the solution link in the YouTube description. Thank you.